What's up, y'all? It's time to get vulnerable. I've been thinking about ways to approach this subject, this topic, this freaking story, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna present it to you guys. But my channel is about addiction, it's about recovery, it's about my experiences, and hopefully this can deter anybody out there from picking up and using, because nothing good comes from it. Sure, it'll allow you to escape life at that moment. Once your high wears off, you're still left with the same issues. So therefore, you pick up again, you use, you escape. Once it wears off, you're back in the same situation. So I want to talk about my experience with methamphetamine. I was never fully addicted to it. I never used it on a regular basis, except when I hung out with a friend of mine back in the day. This was like early 2000s, 2004 to like 2006 era. I used to make music back in the day, like hip hop music. I hung out with one of my boys. We had different styles of rapping. Yes, I used to rap back in the day. I still got it. Give me a beat, I'll tear it up, right? My style was always like a ODB, like an Old Dirty Bastard style. Just like crazy off the wall lyrics, but with the delivery of like a Snoop Dogg, right? Anyway, I hung out with this dude and he rapped as well. He had like a faster, kind of like a Method Man, like a rhythmic. He was a white dude, but he had like a Method Man style. So our styles complemented each other. One of the things that a few of the things that we liked doing were smoking green, coke every once in a while. Meth was our thing, right? So we'd go out, play some pool, drink, and then that would always trigger us to pick up, a bag of that clear. From here on out, we're just gonna call it clear, okay? And I've spoke on this in prior videos. Every time I would drink, it would trigger me. It would trigger my brain. It would trigger everything inside of me to pick up something hard. And when I was with this particular guy, we would drink, we'd get triggered, and we'd go pick up in like one of the shadiest areas of Tucson, right? Trailer park style. So yeah, we'd go pick up, we'd go back to his apartment, we would smoke our bag, right, or clear, and then we'd start creating music. Some good music, right? The levels were all over the place as far as like the quality of music. We didn't have the best recording equipment. So we did what we did, and it was cool. So we had fun, man. We would do that the majority of times we hung out. Every time I would do this, when it came down to me leaving his house, it would trigger me. The clear had an effect on me like a sexual way. Like my hormones shot through the roof. Like my endorphins would skyrocket, right? There is a sexual dark side to methamphetamine. If you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. Every time I would use that clear, man, like it would trigger me sexually. And before I would make it home, yes, I would drive home at the time, like making stupid decisions. I would drive home, but on the way home, I would be on the lookout for women, walking. I would need a ride, right? And I'm just being real with you guys, man. Like, that's how it would affect me. There'd be times where I'd pick up these women and we do the damn thing, right? We do what we do. I've heard other people talk about how it triggers them. It would trigger them sexually, of course, right? And they would start doing like homosexual things. That's their story. That's the way it would trigger them. They were never like that until they they had that clear in their system. And it was crazy. Like, when I did it, I felt good at the time, right? Like, the actual high of it, I enjoyed. I didn't become physically addicted to it. When I was sober, I never got the urge to drive around and look for women. Like, in that way, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like, it didn't trigger me to do anything crazy, you know? Like, crazy, like to harm these women. I never did nothing like that. Like, but that's just how it triggered me. I got the urge to do that at the time. And, you know, I drive around and look for these women. Like, just thinking about that today just blows my mind. The way it affected me, the way it made me do certain things. Just thinking about these actions, like my whole life in active addiction just blows my mind. It feels like another life. I don't recommend drugs to anybody. There are other ways out there to deal with your pain. With anything negative that you're going through, there's ways to deal with it in a healthful way, in a healthy way, right? In a responsible way. Like anything in life, there's always a healthier approach. And who better else to tell you guys about this than somebody who's been through it? I've been through it, man. I've seen a lot when it comes to addiction. I've experienced a lot. I've done a lot. I am not proud of anything I did while I was in active addiction. There's people that try dope for the first time and they have a negative experience, like they throw up and then they just get turned off. Those are the lucky ones. Those are the lucky ones. Consider yourself blessed. Be thankful for that. Just live your life and be happy, be healthy. Then there's those that try it. They may have the bad experience on it, but they try it again later, and then they get hooked. Then there's those that try it once, and they get hooked right off the bat. There's no reason for me to get in how it made me feel physically. Like, I'm not going to elaborate on the actual high of the clear because I don't want to trigger anybody else, and there's no point. I'm sure there's other videos out there for that. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm about. I'm just here to tell you my experience to hopefully prevent somebody from engaging in this lifestyle. I know today there's nothing in this world, there's nothing that can happen today that will trigger me to go out and use again. It felt so good to wake up this morning and not have to use. Sure, I'm on methadone, right? But that honestly saved my life. Because I didn't have to wake up, spend my last dollar on some dope. I didn't have to wake up and steal something, steal anything. I didn't have to wake up and pawn anything. I didn't have to wake up and ignore my dogs. I didn't have to do any of that. And it feels so good just knowing that. So I say all of that to say this. Whatever you're going through, approach it outside the box. Play the tape through. Meaning, if I do it this way, if I do it the responsible way, these things can happen. If I deal with my problems in this way, if I wake up depressed, I go out and buy a bottle. I wake up depressed, go out and use. These things could happen. Play the tape through. all the time with any decision, any big decision. Play the tape through. If I do it this way, these things could happen. If I do it this way, these things could happen. It's kind of like mental judo, right? Like you're thinking ahead. Always stay a few moves ahead. That's pretty much all I got to say about that. It's a dark road. If you're out there messing with that clear, you know what I'm talking about. There's so many people out there that will not admit what I just did. That is how that particular drug affected me. It's a vicious and dark road. Stay sober, my friends.